Alright, what's up guys? Welcome to another adventure in Cap with me, NinjaDeathStrike. And currently, there's just been a new cap released, Malaconda. That's this handsome guy right here, the evil snake from the Garden of Eden. Right now what Smallgon is doing is the only cap allowed on the server is Malaconda. Everything else has to be regular guys just to test Malaconda in isolation. So before we get into the matches, I'm just going to quickly talk about what Malaconda was designed to do real quick so you guys know what it does. I've gotten some comments where people have no idea what the caps do, and I should probably explain their roles a little bit more just so you're not completely blind, but Malaconda is a grass and dark type who was designed to kind of shift the metagame and try and incorporate the usage of types that you don't usually see. So specifically fire and poison, I think. So he's pretty much a support guy. He has really high HP and really high special defense, but his defense and speed are awful. He learns glare, rapid spin, pursuit, U-turn, stuff like that, and his ability is harvest or infiltrator. So he's kind of designed as a sun spinner to help eliminate a lot of threats that sun teams have. As you can see, neither of us are using a sun team. I was just kind of playing around. I built my team kind of as an anti-meta team, and it's also a little bit based on NBZ's team. Kind of. Actually, I think 4 of our guys are the same. But yeah, I decided to use rain just to try and counter the sun, because rain's better than sun, and use my own Malaconda to poison and spin for me. So because of that, I have a Focus Sash Doug trio, who's really nice against sun teams. Polytoad, of course, Scissor to kill opposing Malaconda, and also because Scissor is really good and really good in the rain. And these last 2 guys I just kind of threw on the team. Heatran, because why the hell not, and a Choice Scarfed Garchomp. Now I do change them up for the second match, but that's the team for this match. As you can see, my opponent is also using a rain team. He's got a pretty cool team, very creative. He's got Rain, Volcarona, Tentacruel, who's really good with Malaconda around, and then Keldeo, who I forgot to even put. I used Rain without Keldeo, which is pretty dumb. So anyhow, let's get into the match. This is the very first match I took, so my team is Terabad, but I still got a decent match out of it, so we'll see how it goes. I'm just going to go ahead and lead with Malaconda, figuring I can probably paralyze something. None of his guys really want to deal with it. Volcarona, I guess, but I didn't expect him to lead with that, so he leads with Polytoad. He actually poisons me right away, and I U-turn out, predicting him to switch, but he doesn't. So then he goes for Scald and gets the burn, which is really unfortunate, and it's going to be a recurring trend in this match. I get so haxed with burns. So Scissor gets burned on turn 2 and becomes much less useful right away. I don't really have a good option. This is about the time I realize my team sucks, so I just go into Garchomp and start outraging everything. And then I get burned by Flame Body, so that's 2 for 2 with the burns. It means that I can't kill Volcarona now. I even got that nice 3-turn outrage. Had I not gotten burned, I could have killed Volcarona. Now I'm confused, and it got to set up a Quiver Dance, and things are not going well for me. So luckily here I do not hurt myself, and I'm able to take it out. I was fine with Garchomp dying at this point. He's pretty much death fodder anyhow because he's burned. And Scissor's burned. So that's 2 of my guys burned. And then I've got Heatran, who is in the rain, so that was not a smart idea. I had him there to kind of help counter sun teams. And after that, I've got Malaconda and Doug Trio, who don't really do a whole lot of damage. Or Malaconda and Polytoad, rather. Doug Trio is sashed, but he's not going to be able to take on the whole team by himself, so I'm in deep shit right away. I do go into Polytoad because at least he can do regular damage, and he brings in his Malaconda. I land a Toxic on it, which at the time I was pretty happy with. And I do have Dual Chop on this Garchomp, so I'm going to go for that here. I was hoping I'd be able to break the sub with 1, because Malaconda's defense is awful, but it does take both, which kind of sucks. And then he gets Aromatherapy, which is unfortunate. So now I'm going to miss Dual Chop just because, you know, I wasn't in a bad enough spot. Missed the Dual Chop, and Burn is going to take me down. So Garchomp's dead, and I've barely put a dent in his team other than taking out Volcarona. Here I bring in my own Malacondra. I actually don't have Power Whip on it at the time. I had U-Turn instead. I did switch that just because it's terrible against Politoed without Power Whip. So I go for the Skull. I go for the Rapid Spin here because that is a huge priority. I need the Rocks gone to make sure that Dugtrio has his Sash intact when he comes in. My only hope is to try and weaken these guys enough where Earthquake is going to kill everything. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot of hope here. So I'm going to spin away, go back into Politoed just because I can resist. I do predict the switch into Malacondra here and go for the Ice Beam. But his Citrus Berry double activates. Apparently that's a thing that can happen. So that's cool. Then I get paralyzed. Yeah, he got Citrus Berry, harvested it, used it again immediately, and then harvested it again. And he's not in the sun. So that was a very unfortunate series of events in a very unfortunate battle. However, I know that he can't really hurt Scissor, especially since I'm burned. He can't paralyze me, so I can at least make sure his subs don't stay up with U-turns. And I also know that he is not carrying U-turn himself. I have seen his whole set at this point, so I can kind of just switch between my own Malacondra and Scissor and keep U-turning to make sure he never has a sub up. Unfortunately, they're both have status conditions that are dealing damage, so this loop can't last forever. Eventually one of them is just going to die because of the residual damage from the status conditions. So he decides, though, that this is not really a winning prospect for him, switches out into Landorus, and that is going to allow me to U-turn into Politoed here. Now, I'm not quite at the point where I could survive an Earthquake, so I go for the Protect, hoping I don't get fully paralyzed, just to get enough health to hopefully be able to survive an Earthquake. It would have been close, I think. And now I go for the Skull just in case he stays in and wants to try and kill me. Now, I don't get the burn on his Malacondra, unfortunately, and we're just going to have to play this game all over again. So I do go for the Scald here. I don't know why. I definitely should have Ice Beam to break the sub, and that was really dumb. So he shows me here he does have Power Whip. That's the first time I've seen that attack, but now I know all of his moves. I thought I did before, but I guess I didn't. But it stood to reason that he was going to have at least one stab attack, especially if he's only running one attack. So I kind of made that assumption. But yeah, that means that Scissor really isn't going to take much damage, and the fact I get in against him here with a sub down means he has to switch. Otherwise, I'll kill him with U-turn, so I am going to get some switch advantage. Unfortunately, Scissor will die the next time he comes into burn, so that is all he's going to get to do this match. Go back into Politoed. He does decide to get Stealth Rocks up here and sacrifice his Landorus, so that means that I need to get my Malacondra to spin at least once more. Well, just once more, and after that I don't have to worry about his rocks anymore, which means Dugtrio will be able to keep his Focus Sash up. Unfortunately, without Scissor now, I'm really up a creek for dealing with his Malacondra, especially since it continually seems to get Harvest and get his Citrus Berry back. So yeah, that's not good. Here, I can't afford to go for the U-turn. I need the rocks gone first, and I'm fairly certain I can survive another attack, even if I die to poison. As long as I get his sub down, I'll be okay. So, yep, go into Scissor here, and he sets up sub, which is unfortunate. I was hoping he would Power Whip, and then I die. So he's behind a sub again, which means he's going to be back into my own Malacondra. I do win the speed tie this time, go for the U-turn, and at this point I'm just going to go into Heatran. I figure he can't actually hurt Heatran at all. He only has Power Whip. He can paralyze me with Glare, but after that he's kind of done. So even though it's in the rain and he has super high special defense, I am just going to have to try and kill him with Fire Blast. We can see that it is going to be enough to break the sub, which is good. And yeah, now he's going to glare me, so now he's going to be faster, which means Citrus Berry, whenever he harvests it, can activate right away. Luckily, though, that turn it doesn't, and I'm able to force him out since he doesn't have enough health left to make a sub. So that's good. That's another thing that Dugtrio will be able to kill. And I'm almost have hope. I might have a chance were it not for Keldeo. He hasn't brought Keldeo out at all. It hasn't taken any damage, so I'm not going to be able to kill it, probably. That and Politoed. I need to weaken one of them to the point where they'll die from an earthquake in order to have a chance, because if I can do that, then I should outspeed and kill the rest of his guys, and at that point I can use my sash to take a hit from whichever one still has health. But that's a really, really long shot, and I'm not thinking that's going to happen. So he's going to throw up a Protect here just to kind of stall for toxic damage, which is fine. I do paralyze him at least. I don't know. It doesn't really do anything, but I thought maybe he'd switch out. So now that he's paralyzed, it's basically a speed tie between the Politoads, and he does have the lowered special defense, so I think maybe I have a shot. I go for the Ice Beam here, thinking he might want to switch to his own Malachondra on the predicted Surf, and maybe heal up or take me out, since I would be able to hit him, or I wouldn't be able to hit him hard the next turn. But he stays in, so I go for Scald on the next turn, actually get a crit, and then he does go for the Encore, so now I definitely think he's going to want to go into something. So I go into my own Malaconda, just because I was predicting a switch, and that was the only turn I'd be able to get her in safely again. It does work out. I don't quite die to the Toxic, and he brings in Keldeo, so that means I get to go for a Glare, paralyze this Tentacruel, which is completely irrelevant, because now Dugtrio is going to come in, go for the Earthquake. I am faster than Tentacruel, and he's weak to it, so the Paralysis did not matter at all. Politoed comes in. I don't think I'm going to be able to kill it at this range, and I'm not, so going to go down to my Sash here, and hey, look at that, I get burned again. So all three of my physical attackers got burned their first turn in, and that seals my fate. Not that I had a chance otherwise, because Keldeo would have just destroyed me. Even if I had crit, I don't think it would have killed it. So yeah, it's what it is. I'm going to stick it out, but the match is over at this point. Interestingly, his Keldeo wasn't Scarfed, which I was assuming it was, so it does mean Dugtrio would have outsped it. So a crit on the Dugtrio, a crit on the Keldeo, maybe? I don't know. I don't think I could have won anyhow, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, Burn definitely did me in, and this was a really long match. So I'm just going to put it up by itself. It'll be its own match, no doubleheader this week. But hopefully you guys liked it. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Check out the links in the description. I do have one more video with Malaconda, so maybe I'll put that up next week. And that's going to do it. So stay tuned, guys. I will have more coming your way shortly. Thanks for watching.